Hi, my name is Mr. Campbell from MrCampbellRocks.com. Welcome to my YouTube channel. The following videos or course put together is going to be how to build Google Sites. I'm going to help you build your own Google site. The great thing about it is I'm going to be building my own Google site as we go through the process together. It's been about 10 years since I've built a Google site. I am definitely not an expert. I'm going to make mistakes, you're going to make mistakes, but we're going to learn together. The framework that we're going to be following is Google Suites or G Suites framework on how they train people and how they teach people how to build Google sites. And you'll see that right here. It'll pop up right here and we can go through. We're going to go step by step on how to create a site, uploading images, adding links, adding resources, uploading PDFs, putting in videos, all of those different things so you have a one-stop shop for your class or your course online. This is all free for you. I'm doing this because I want to help you and because I want you to help your students. You won't be seeing a lot of me on this. Once this introductory video is done, we're going to get right into it. I'm going to be using Camtasia as a screen capture tool, so we'll be zooming in and out and panning across Google Sites and where to find links and upload images. The great thing is about Google Sites is everything is saved in Google Drive. All of your resources are saved so you can access them at any time. Google Sites are responsive, which means they show up on iPads, phones, Android devices, desktops, laptops, and it looks beautiful in any form. That's what responsive means. One of the other great benefits of using Google Sites is you can publish specific content to everybody, or you can hold specific content back, maybe for parents or students or other teachers in your building. Google Sites also integrate seamlessly with all of the other G Suite apps like Slides, Docs, Forms, Classroom. All of those other tools that you're used to using in Google are all connected. Below in the description, you'll see the different sections that we're going to use throughout this training. The first one is creating a site. The second section is updating and personalizing your site. The third section is sharing and collaborating on your Google site. Section 4 is finalizing and publishing your site. Altogether, there'll be about 20 training videos, and you can follow this list right here, and it will go through module by module or section by section to help you build your Google site. Again, I love you, I appreciate you, and I'm glad you're here. Let's get started building Google sites. Hi everybody, I am Mr. Campbell from MrCampbellRocks.com. This is the first of 20 videos on how to build a Google site for beginners. So we're actually using the documentation from the support.google.com training, and we're just going to follow this step by step, and I'm going to actually create videos to take you through this process. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a site. There are two ways to do this. You can actually create it from the sites.google.com homepage, or you can do it from your Google Drive. So let's show you how to do both of those. When we click on this link, obviously it's going to open a new window. That's what that little bar means. We're going to click on Sites homepage, and you'll see I'm actually brought to a page where we have some Google site templates. You can think of Google Sites just like a website. It has a lot of the same abilities and functionality of a website. When we click on the template gallery, it's going to open up all of the templates that Google has created for us. Now, depending on what you're going to use your Google site for, your template may vary. Maybe it's a student portfolio template that your students are going to be copying. Maybe it's a teacher portfolio. Maybe it's a club or after-school program. Most of you are probably going to be using this as a class. I'm actually going to be using my Google site as a Google site training site, which sounds really weird and very meta-cognizant, but we're going to click on that. And what you'll see is my site will be created by just clicking on that link. It's going to take a few minutes to load. And you'll see that I have a lot of options here on the screen. We're going to go through a lot of them. We're going to go through layouts and text boxes and pages and themes. But today we're just creating the site, the initial setup of the site. Let's go look at the second way to create a Google site. When we go to Google Drive, what you're going to see is you're going to see the site that I just created there. It's right here. I'm going to left click on this, and I'm actually going to remove this so I don't have anything here. And now what we'll do is we'll go to New, click on More, and you'll see all of the other options here. But right here is where we click on Google Sites, it'll take us back to the page we were just at. You'll see we'll have a title page here, pages, themes. Now what you'll notice is this doesn't have a template because I haven't put any templates in. So I'm going to go back and choose a template that I like that matches my style and what I want to accomplish with my Google site. We're going to talk in the next video how to name your Google site. Hi everybody, my name is Mr. Campbell from MrCampbellRocks.com. This is the second video in the Google Suite framework on how to build Google Sites. 1.2, name your site. If you want to know how to create your site, you need to go to the previous video. And if you want to select a layout, that's 1.3 in the next video. Let's jump in. So the first thing that we need to do is we actually need to name our site. As we stated in 1.1 is Google will save your Google site in Drive. So we're going to call this Google Site Tutorials. I'm actually going to publish this site out into the world with all of the tutorials that we're creating right now that you're in. This is called the site document name. So we want to enter a unique name to keep track of our site. This is only visible to us or you, the creator. Next, what we want to do is give our site a class name here or a site name. And I'm going to name it the same thing just so everybody that comes here knows exactly what this is. I'm looking at two different things. You might want to call it Mr. Campbell's class or Mrs. Johnson's class or English 9 class, whatever you want to call it. You can name it whatever you want. You can also add a logo here. We'll get into that a little bit later. The next thing that we want to do is we want to add a page title. And this could be something here. It's in the middle, depending on your template and how you use that template. So again, we have the site document name, which is only showed to you. We have the Google site name. Then we have our page title here. And we're going to be able to go through and change all this stuff here, but we're just going one step at a time, editing this information. In the next video, we're going to select a layout. And the layout is the way that your site looks, the fonts, the colors, the shapes, the different sections. So again, if you're here, it's because you're an educator. I appreciate you, I love you, and I'm glad that you're here. My name is Mr. Campbell from Mr. Campbell Rocks, and this is the third video in a Google Site Tutorial series from the Google Framework. This is 1.3, select a layout. What you'll see over on the right-hand side of the page is you have a bunch of different pre-made layouts that you can use for your Google homepage and other pages that you create on your Google site. Now, what you're looking at here is a predefined template. Obviously, the lines, and maybe it's not obviously, but if you see this little thing with the mountains and a sun, if we zoom in here, that means that's where an image is going to go. When you see these lines here, this is where text is going to go. You can create a layout for every page on your website or on your Google site. These are the 6 layouts here. You can also create your own layouts. So if I scroll down and right over here in this little caret, all of the layouts come up here. So let's say this homepage, I want to change the layout. When I click on this layout, what it's going to do is it's going to give me a blank template. So you'll see here's my home page here. When I go to class overview, I can edit and change things as I want to move them. So what I would do is I would go here and I would upload a picture and I would add some text. Maybe this is a section for my 7th graders. Maybe this is a section for my 7th graders. You have a lot of different options here on how to select a template for your Google site. Again, these are called layouts. And you'll notice over here on the left, we can add different background. We can upload images. We can select images. When I grab an image, it's just grabbing straight from my drive. When I add that image, here's my background. And then you'll see as I have these little boxes around my other sections that are going to jump in here. So I can add an image here. Let's switch it here. I can change the colors. I can change the font. I can duplicate this section if I want to add this section, or I can delete this section. So I'm going to delete some of these sections that we've created so it doesn't get too out of hand. We'll get into sections a little bit later. But you'll see as I'm deleting the sections, the Google site is getting smaller and smaller. So here is my home page, and this is actually a section here. And I can add information here. You have a lot of abilities here to make your Google site custom by moving around text, moving around images, moving around different pieces of information. You'll see as I start to grab the image and move, I can create any kind of format I want by grabbing some of these boxes and moving them. And if you saw when I grabbed this box in my layout, I have sort of a grid that pops up and it shows where those images and pictures would be aligned. Once I hover over that text, it's right there. I'm going to zoom in so you can see those 10 dots. You'll see that I get a compass in my mouse or my trackpad, and I can move this whichever way that I want. You'll see here we also have this. I can move this down. I can move this whole section up. I have a lot of different options for my layout. This has been 1.3, selecting a layout. Again, if you're here, it's because you're an educator. I love you, I appreciate you, and I'm glad that you're here. Hi everybody, my name is Mr. Campbell from MrCampbellRocks.com. This is tutorial 1.4, select a background image, header type, and theme using the Google Sites training framework. So what you'll notice here that's different from the last tutorials, I've actually removed my image here because I wanted it to be blank so I can show you how to change the image and how we can change this background image right now. So what we're going to do, when you get to your Google site, you're going to hover over this, you'll click change an image. You can either upload an image or select an image. When we select an image, we actually have a lot of options here. So we can actually pull from the Google site gallery. We can pull an image from the internet by using the URL. We can search for an image, that's what we're going to do. We can pull an image from our albums that are connected with Google Drive, or we can pull an image that's been saved in our Google Drive. So let's click on search. And I'm going to type in classic books. And this is going to be the background, right, of the Google site tutorial page that we're doing here. And so let's just find one. I'm just going to grab this one right up here. I like this one. We're going to click on select, and what you'll see is now our background image has this image that we just found. This is how you would select your background image on your homepage for your Google site. The next step that we're going to do is we're going to change our header type. And you'll notice as I hover over this section here, I have a couple different options. I can reset this and it'll go back to a blank background that was just black. And I can change my header type. Well, when I click on header type, I'm going to have a couple of different options. I can have a cover, which is a little bit larger. I can have a large banner, which is what we were looking at just a few seconds ago. I can have a smaller banner, or I can just have the title only. That removes my image from the Google site. So you want to choose one of these options, a large banner, a banner, or a cover. For me personally, in my background and business and doing websites and different things like that, I like a small banner so people can see the content when they come to the home page, that the banner does not cover up the entire screen. This is not a photo album. This is something that we want people to come and watch the tutorials and go through this process. So that's how we would select our header type. Now, with Google Sites, every site has some pre-built themes, and a theme is a color palette and a font palette or a font selection that is connected with that theme. So the way that we change our theme is we come over here, the top right, we click on themes. And as I scroll up and down, I'm going to show you how these themes change as I scroll through them. So you're going to see a color palette change, and you're also going to see a font change. So when I click on simple, you'll notice that the colors are a little bit darker and the font is a little bit thinner. For any theme and any font and color, you have the option to change it however you want. You'll notice here if I go for a dark theme, right, that doesn't really mesh very well as far as my image in the background and the color here, but if I could find a color that was in here, maybe like this green that I like, or I can go to the bucket and I can pull off the letter code for each number. I can't remember the technical term for that right now. And I can select this however we want it to do. And you'll see, so I could start to match this up really quickly. So I'm trying to get it close to this color here, like a maroon or burgundy. And so you can spend hours and hours and hours doing this. And this is where a lot of people get stuck is not on the information that's on the Google site, but on what it looks like, because it's so much fun to move around. So as we go down to the next temp theme, you'll see again that the text and the color palette changes. When I click on font style, I have the option to change to a few of those different font styles. Now, I'm not going to click on all of them and go through all of the color palettes because hopefully you're doing this along with me. I'm going to go back to our original yellow green, and maybe I'll just change the font to capitals. I think maybe that's what it already is. Let's do Frank, right? I like the typewriters and that font. In our next video, 1.5, we'll be talking about adding, reordering, and nesting pages. This has been a tutorial on 1.4, which is selecting a background image, header type, and theme. Again, my name is Mr. Campbell from MrCampbellRocks.com. I love you, I appreciate you, and I am glad that you're here. Hi everybody, welcome back. My name is Mr. Campbell from MrCampbellRocks.com. This is 1.5 of the Google Site tutorials using the Google Training Framework. So today we're going to talk about how to add, reorder, and nest pages. Pages show up here on your Google site. Before we jump into that, you'll see that I've spent a little bit of time just customizing some of the information here as if it were going to go live. It's not actually live yet. So I've got my little tagline here that you hear in every video and all those different things. And in a little introductory paragraph for people when they come to the site, I've linked to the YouTube channel here where all these videos will be housed. But what we're going to focus on today is we're going to focus on pages. So the important thing about pages is it's a way to separate information for different groups of people, and how you order those pages is important, but also how you nest those pages. And we talk about nesting, we talk about how they stack on top of each other. For example, if I had a schedule page here, I could have another page underneath it that would say 9th grade schedule and then 8th grade schedule, right? So it's all under the same page, but it's nested under different pieces of information. Another way to look at that would be maybe short stories. So if I was a language arts teacher, which I was, and I had, mystery, I could have short stories, then a subheading or a sub-nest, if you will, that said mystery or romance, action, classics, modern, different types of short stories, and I could have those all nested under one page. So the way that we're going to do this, let's jump in. You can see it, it's right over here. We're going to go over to pages, and you'll see a big plus sign right here. So we're actually going to create a new page, and this new page is going to be called 1.5 add, reorder. And actually, I'm not going to call it 1.5 because we want to make sure that the nest is correct. So the overall is getting started with sites. And I'm using the Google framework, right, that they have on their site. And when I click on advanced, I can do a custom path, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But the first thing I want to do is just create this page. So when I'm done, I click done. And what you'll see now is I have this new page here that's already pulled in all of my fonts. It's pulled in my background image. It's pulled in my color scheme or my theme for the website. Now, what I would want to do with this on Get It Started with Sites is I could have pages underneath this that said 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5. I don't know if I need to go that in depth with this, but I could right here add some information. You'll see that the sections are already here. And I would go back and add those later when I wanted to insert, which we'll talk about later. But there is my page. Okay. Now, if I want to reorder my pages, right, we would just grab this. Oops. Let me go back to pages. It's of course because and here is where I would grab and reorder them. So you'll see that home is on top and it's going to go left to right, top to bottom. As I move these around, I can reorder these pages, and I can do this anytime that I want. It does not have to be before we publish the site or make the site live. I don't have a newsletter, right? So I'm going to delete the newsletter page, right? Now, if I want to nest these pages or make them stackable, I am going to click on this and drag it. And you'll see now that the schedule drops right underneath Getting Started with Sites. What you'll also see has happened to my menu up here, my page menu, is I have a little caret, right? When I click on that, I can click on schedule and it will take me to that nested page. If I want to unnest that page, and I want to grab it and then move it out of the nesting. So these are now equal pages. Okay. Under pages, right? What I can do is I can actually duplicate the page. I can set it as the home page. I can rename the page. I can create a subpage or hide the subpage if I wanted to, and I could completely delete that page from the site. So let's look at getting started on all those options. So the first thing is I want to make this the home page. So now when people log on or go to Google site, right, when I share it, this is what they're going to see on the home page, not the actual home page, right? So I'm going to make the home page the actual home page. You can only have one home page at a time, unfortunately. It's actually not unfortunate. Having multiple home pages confuses people. I can duplicate the page. So when I click on the three dots and I click duplicate the page, it's going to give me a copy of that, which what this allows you to do is if you have similar pages in the way that you like the theme and the formatting and all of that stuff, you can duplicate it, then go back in and just change some of the font and some of the descriptions. So when I click on done, you'll see that I have copy the original. Now I'm going to delete this. So we'll delete that page. Okay, here's our home page again. Getting started with slides. We can rename the page here. Properties. And then this is where we would change the name. If I wanted to add a subpage, I could. When I click done, you'll see that this comes down on the drop-in menu. So there's a couple different ways to nest pages. So this is a subpage is now nested under Getting Started with Sites. And this will all show up in your menu here. Okay, I'm going to delete this subpage. And then we can also hide this from navigation. So maybe I'm working on a page, but I'm not quite ready to publish it, and I just want to hide it so they can't see it. You'll see that I have the page. If I zoom in really quick, it has a line through it. When I click on these three dots, if we go back to full view, I can show in navigation again. So again, this has been 1.5 on the Google site tutorial. This is how to add, reorder, and nest pages. Again, I love you, I appreciate you, and I'm glad that you're here. Hi everybody, welcome back. My name is Mr. Campbell from MrCampbellRocks.com. This is 1.6 in our Google site tutorials, setting up the site navigation. By default, when a visitor comes to your Google site, they're going to see the navigation bar at the top in the order that you created it through your pages. If you need help with moving pages, reordering them, or nesting them, you can go to the previous tutorial, which is 1.5. Today we're talking just about navigation. So when we get to our Google site, right up here next to the name of the site, there's a little gear. So we're going to click on that gear. We have a lot of different options here, right? But specifically today we're talking about navigation. So when we go to mode, what that tells us is where the navigation is going to appear. We can either have it on the top or the side. And you'll notice right when I click to the side is our navigation is going to jump over to the left, right? Now, I can also change that color to black or white or transparent. Now, what transparent does is it just pulls the image that we have already put in there and puts it behind. So I'm actually going to turn it back to black. We're going to click OK. Now, the navigation pops in from the left-hand side of things. Now, there's a lot of information here about sites and what people look at. Well, what's happened with the internet over time is it's basically trained people to look at a website in a specific way. And if you can imagine a big capital letter F on this website is, and there's studies done, hundreds of studies talking about this, is typically what happens is our eyes go from left to right, top to bottom, but we lose a lot of information down here. And so when we put the navigation over here in the top left corner, we're clicking on it. What we're actually doing is we're making people do a little bit more work than if we had it across the top, because that's one more step for me to find the information I want. And if I don't find the information I want, or I get frustrated because I can't find the information, I'm going to leave the Google site. Now, if it's your students, obviously they need to come here, but if it's a parent and they have to go through 3 pages and 4 different things to click on it, they're never going to come back again to find that information. And so what you'll want to put is you'll want to put the most important information at the top. You also have a footer, which we'll talk about later, where it has all of your contact information. But as far as a menu, my recommendation, just from my background in business and building websites and doing different things like that, is that you want to have your menu across the top. Does every Google site ever have it across the top? No. Are there successful websites and Google sites that have the information down the left? Absolutely. What we have learned, though, is just think about the websites that you visit on a regular basis. ESPN.com, the New York Times, the New Yorker, whatever websites, they generally have the menu across the top, and then they have sub-menus when you click on those. And then they have information or links down the left that aren't necessarily as important. Not every website, but a lot of them do. So to go back again, we're going to click on the gear, change the mode. We'll go click on top, then it'll be back. I'm actually going to keep the white there. So the menu is a little bit more separated from the image and the rest of the website. Again, this finishes the first module of Google Site Training, which is basically creating our site. We have created a site. You've created a site. Congratulations. You need to pat yourself on the back. You need to clap right now. Now you have a lot of work to do. You got to put information in. You got to add pictures. You got to add text. But now your Google site, the framework and the template and the theme should all be set the way that you want. Now you just need to add the information. Again, I appreciate you, I love you, and I'm glad. Hi everybody, welcome back. My name is Mr. Campbell. You are watching part of the Google Site tutorials, and we're following the Google Site framework. You can find more information here at the G Suite Learning Center. So this is the introduction to Unit 2 or Module 2 that Google has put together, and it's titled Update and Personalize Your Site. So the pieces that we're going to be covering in this group of tutorials will be add content to your site, edit text, edit sections, editing images, adding a banner, adding a logo, and content from another website. and then move and resize content. One of the questions that I get a lot about Google Sites is, well, I have Google Classroom, I have my personal site, or why do I need Google Classroom and Google Sites? It really depends on your personality and how you're going to run your classroom. I think the further away you get from elementary school, the more resources that you're going to want to have on a site that's yours. For me personally, I love owning all of my content and having all of my stuff in one place. Then I can link out to it in Google Classroom, and other teachers can link out to it from their Google Classroom or from across the country to use the resources that you've put together. If you ever leave a school or leave a district, heaven forbid, right? We all plan on staying where we're at forever, but at times we get put in situations where we might not have access to that content anymore. I love being the owner of my content, and with Google Sites, you can clone a site at any given time and then just migrate all of that information over. Again, if you're looking for Module 1, that's in the previous videos, and I've put all of this information together here on this Google Sites for Beginners, and all of the links to each one of these will be here. So let's get started on Module 2, updating and personalizing your site. Hi everybody, welcome back. My name is Mr. Campbell from MrCampbellRocks.com. Today we're going to talk about how to add content to your Google site. And this is under the Google Framework, Module 2, personalizing your site. There are so many things that you can do with Google Sites and so many options. This is the part where, as an educator or a leader or whatever your role is, if you're watching this video, is that you're going to be creative and organize your site how you want to put it together. And so we're going to jump in really quick. And this is the page that we have. So we talked about pages and themes in the previous modules. There's two ways to add content to your site. You can double click anywhere and it's going to pull up this content wheel here, or you'll notice that we have corresponding or matching items up here. We have a text box here, which matches right here. We have images, which matches here, drive, which is here, and then we have embed, which is here. Now we're going to go through these one by one and just show you what each of them can do. So when I click on text, this is going to basically create a text box for me to type in text. And so I could add text, and we've talked about this before. I could make it a link. I can clear the formatting here. I can add a bulleted list, a numbered list. I also have the options to center it, to right center, or magazine style as far as the margins go, italicize, bold, and then I can select the type of text. Now, if you want to select the font for your text, that is covered in modules 1, where we talk about themes and different fonts. But we could just put, I am building this Google site to help others build Google sites, and so we could put more information about adding content to your site here. And what you'll see is that text box goes here. Now, if I double click here and I want to add something else, if I want to embed something, right, that's where we're actually going to grab code or a URL. A URL, right, is this information right up here. So I could go over to YouTube, this is my YouTube channel, and I could grab the URL right here, right? And I could copy that and put that here. It's going to take a minute just to pull that information, and this is what it's going to pull up, right? So this is how to add grid view to Google Meet. That's what this would do. I'm going to delete this. Embedding does the same thing. It just gives you a few more options as far as the size of the video and what you want it to look like. If you'll notice here, when I grab this embedded text, it is HTML, right? I have a width of 560 and a height of 315. When I come back over here, I can embed this here, and oh, whoops, I'm not, there we go. I can embed this here, and then I can change the size of this information. 6,000 is probably too big. And what you'll see is once I embed that information, hopefully, I did that right, which I didn't. Let's see if we can just try it there in the embed code. Once it grabs that information, I'm waiting for this little wheel, we'll click on next. Once I publish the site, the embedding should be there. So we'll come back here, we'll double click on this wheel again. Over here in a blank space, we have drive. So this is what I love about Google Sites is everything is connected to Drive. So this is Forms, Sheets, Docs, Jamboards, let's see what else, Docs, Sheets, Slides. So when I click on Drive, it's going to pull open my Google Drive that's connected to this Google site, and I can go through and grab anything that I want, including images and videos that I've uploaded to my Drive. And so you have access to all of your files stored in Google Drive, which is amazing. I think a lot of you that are watching right now are starting to think some of the possibilities that you can do, that you can add. So what we would do is we would just grab a file from here. This is a concert that we did a couple years ago at the school that we did some HD, and we also filmed it. So this is me walking around with a GoPro. I could grab this and then insert that file right into my site. Here, you can see there, okay? So again, if I want to get rid of this, I just hit the trash can, so we'll do that. So the last option here is I want to upload something from my computer. So this will basically pull your desktop, your downloads, your iCloud or your Drive or whatever you have that you're working with. It'll pull files from your computer and you can upload those as well. Those could be PDFs, those could be docs, those could be Word documents, Excel documents, pretty much any file, JPEGs, images, stuff like that. So that is the double click method, and all of these here would give you the same options when you clicked on them. Now, you also have the ability when you're adding content to your site is to kind of arrange your pages how you want them. And so as we scroll further down, we can pick a layout, which we talked about in one, but let's say this layout already just jumps in. Then we add a picture, some text, and then we have a layout here. But if we scroll below the layouts, we have a lot more options as far as what our site is going to look like. We can add collapsible text. So if I add text here, this would be text underneath, and we could have like a drop-down menu. And you'll see that, right, if I added more text, that would collapse. I could unclick that, make it not collapsible. I'm going to delete that there. I can add a table of contents if I am putting things in a magazine form or a book form, right? When I add the table of contents, I can add all the headings right here. You'll see that that just jumped up right there. So I'm going to delete these as we go, and so I don't have a lot of more work. We can do an image carousel. So we could add images here if this was a classroom site and you had permission to share pictures of your kids or rotate through projects. This would be an amazing place to have a slideshow of all your students' projects constantly going all year long, basically like an archived art show for the parents to come and look at this. That you cannot do in Google Classroom. That's some of the benefits that you have for Google Sites. Next, you can click on a button. This button could be a link, it could be a code, it could take them to the Google Classroom site. So if I added this button here, we could just put Google Classroom, right, or Mr. Campbell's Google Classroom, and then we would copy and paste the link of our Google Classroom right in here, so parents can just jump straight from the Google site over to Google Classroom, or students could do the same thing. So hopefully you're starting to be able to see a lot of the possibilities of a Google site. It basically becomes a hub for all of your information, not just pushing out assignments and grading things and going back and forth that way. It really becomes a hub for all of the stuff that you do as a teacher. So there's a placeholder. I can put a placeholder here and I can come back to it later if I want to add an image or a document or something like that. I can also grab stuff directly from YouTube. You can search YouTube right here, and let's see if we can pull this up. So this is a big video that I had. It's going to pull up. There we are, number 2. So these 3 videos right here. This is by Eric, right? It's a fantastic tutorial. Love his stuff. So you can grab videos straight from there, and then I select that, and then it plugs that video right in there. And what you'll notice when I embed this is I have the option to drag and move things around so that I can get them to the size that I want. Another great option here is a classroom calendar or a school calendar. We could copy that calendar if we add a calendar, it's going to go straight to my Google calendars and pull in all of the calendars that I'm connected with. So I'm a big Utah Jazz fan. We insert the calendar here. Obviously there's no games. We're looking for the season to start, near, midsummer, different things like that. In Orlando, all of those games would be here. If you had events, reoccurring events, maybe you had a day of the, today is National Marshmallow Day or National whatever day, you could add that calendar here for your students so they could have a good time coming and looking at whatever day it was. You can add a map. Again, if you want to share a specific location to your school, maybe there's an event that you have that you want to add that map, so parents. Then you can see all of the other options here. You have docs, slides, sheets, forms, and charts. Charts, a lot of you might not be familiar with, but you could pull any of your sheets that would have information here. And we could pull a form. If we're doing a survey for parents, a survey for kids, you can also add a form, right, in Google Classroom. I'm thinking more of a way to communicate with parents, that you could send this out for your individual classroom. So each one of these can be placed anywhere in your Google site as you personalize those items, right? So what we're going to do in the next video is we are actually going to go back and edit text. So this has just been a quick, and maybe not so quick because there's a lot of information in this one, is how to add content to your site. The next video will be editing your text. Again, thank you for being here. I love you, I appreciate you, and I'm glad that you're here. Hi, my name is Mr. Campbell. Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about how to edit text on your Google site. This is a part of a long series on how to build a Google site using the Google Training Learning Center framework. So the easiest way to do this is just to click on text that you want to edit or you want to change. And so when we click on this text right here, personalize your site, we have some options. Over here, you'll see a drop-down menu. We mentioned a little bit about this in 2.1, but we're going to go into more details in 2.2. We have a drop-down menu. Normal text is what your everyday text site will look like. And you'll see how small that is. As we go down through this, the title would be the title of a page, and we want that big and kind of bold so people can see where they're at in the page or on our Google site. The next option down is a heading. So if we had a heading here, so again, I'm going to go from the personalize your site here. If I put this as a title, you'll see, right? But when I change this to heading, it shrinks a little bit and it's not as bold, it's not as clear. So we could have personalize your site, this is a title, and then scroll down and have more information. We could also do a subheading if we wanted another heading underneath that. And we could do very small text, right? If we were writing a paragraph or a weekly blog or a weekly newsletter to parents that we published on our Google site, we would use probably this small text. Now, in each category, you have a few different options. So we'll go back up to the title text. You'll notice that we can bold our text or unbold. So there it is, bolden. We can italicize it. We can also change where it shows up in the text box. We can have a left align. We can have a center align, which is what we had at the beginning. We can have a right align, or we can have the magazine font. So if I were to keep typing, the margins would be even on both sides. So we're going to keep it back to center. I can also link to this. So there might be a place that you have on your Google site where it's just a placeholder that you want students to go someplace else. So maybe you have a page on your site that takes them to your grading system. Maybe it's PowerSchool or Skyward or something like that. So when I link here, I can link to an internal site, or I can add an external site. An internal site is something that I've already created here. So you can see the home, create your site. But I could also link out to that right there. Let's just do espn.com, we'll apply. So you'll notice when I add a hyperlink, it underlines the text. That's something that people are very familiar with. It happens on a lot of websites that people go to. But when I click on this, it's going to pull up the link and it's going to take me to espn.com, right? And that's fine. It'll be a redirect notice, which I'm fine with. And so when I come back to personalizing our site, right, we've got the title. I can clear the formatting altogether. I can also put this in the trash can. I'm not going to delete it because I want to use this. You'll have other options when you go to normal text. So if I come back here and we go from small to normal text, you'll see that I have a few more options here that I didn't have in the title text. So we still have a bold, we still have italic, we still have left, right, center, magazine aligned, or double margin. We can now add a numbered list that automatically numbers for us. At least it did till I cleared the formatting. We could add bulleted lists. Again, we can link, we can take out the formatting altogether. These WYSIWYGs, or what you see is what you get options, are across the board the same across the website, no matter your font size, your font color, what the text size is, or where it's at on a box. You'll have those options as far as bold, italicized, and all the options that we just went through. So this has been a quick tutorial on 2.2 in the G Suite Learning Center for Google Sites, editing text. Again, if you're here, it's most likely because you're an educator. I appreciate what you do on a daily basis. I love you, I appreciate you. And hi everybody, welcome back. My name is Spencer, or Mr. Campbell from MrCampbellRocks.com. This is 2.3 editing sections in the G Suite Learning Center for Google Sites tutorial. So when you get to your pages, you'll have some options as far as sections for your site. And sections, what they do is they divide up your Google site into more smaller chunks, manageable pieces of information, so you don't just have one huge chunk of information. So when you get to a section, you can add a new section by grabbing one of these layouts here and just dragging it over. You'll see that I just added this new section. You'll be able to tell when you get a section, so I'm going to zoom in right here. You're going to see these 10 dots and a little compass. What that gives you the ability to do is to move these sections and drag and drop where you want them. So you can create a section, and if you don't like where it's at, you can move it and put others above it or below that. Or you can, like everything else that we've done in Google Sites, if you want to delete the section, you can hit a trash can. You also have the option to duplicate a section. So maybe you have a section that you really like, or you want your site to be consistent across pages. You can duplicate that section on the same page or in other pages, or you can just build it right here from the layout. So the other option that you have is you have this style option. So this allows you to change the background and or the colors. You see I just duplicated it on accident. Within your theme. So these colors are all part of the theme, which we selected earlier, right? We're on the diplomat theme. And or we can add an image. We can select an image from our computer, or we can upload one from, or we can select an image from our drive or upload one from our computer. That background could be these books. We showed you how to do that in the first module of tutorials. Again, I could show you how to do this now. We're going to select an image, and we can select the ones that are just in Google Drive or the gallery. Let's just take that. We'll select that. And you'll notice that we have that image now in the background. I don't necessarily like these two colors together, but you can do that. If we didn't like this section, we could delete that. So the other option that you have when dealing with sections, again, is you can move them around, is all the way at the bottom we have what's called a footer. And the footer obviously is at the bottom of a website, and it usually has important information such as a copyright or maybe a disclaimer or contact information. You'll see that the site that I'm building right now is going to have my name, my email, and a phone number. That phone number will go directly to my school line. That email will be a hyperlink so that when parents or students or other teachers around the country that are watching these tutorials want to email me, they can click right on that email button. And that will then open up Gmail or Safari or Outlook or whatever email client the user has set as their default. If I wanted to take that off, the footer image or the footer section is now not showing. When I click back on, you'll see that it's there. If I want to edit my footer, I would just click on Edit Footer, and then I can add that information just like that. I'm not going to do all of that right now while you're watching, but again, this has been quick, easy. Hopefully this saved you time, energy, and frustration. I love you. I appreciate you. I am glad that you're here. The next section will be 2.4, editing images in your Google site. Hi everybody, welcome back. My name is Mr. Campbell from MrCampbellRocks.com. Today we're going over 2.4, editing images in the G Suite Learning Center for Google Sites. So this is a great thing about images, and what Google Sites allows you to do is allows you basically to grab an image from anywhere. So let's just jump into it. So I'm going to remove a section so you can see what it looks like. Anywhere that you see the little mountain with the moon, that is where an image is going to be placed. And what that looks like is it's going to look like a gray dotted box, but then when I hover over it, it's going to be blue. So this plus sign is one way that you can add an image. So if I click there, it's going to give us some options here. I can upload, I can select an image, I can grab an image from a drive, I can also add a YouTube, calendar, and map. So it doesn't mean that an image has to go there, it just means that's where an image can go. Currently, right now, is that Google does not, or Google Sites does not allow you to place an image within a text box, unfortunately. Maybe that will come in the future, but as of right now, they don't do that. So here, we're just gonna click on upload. When we click on upload, it's going to basically go to our desktop and it's going to allow us to go through all of our files to add pictures. I can go to iCloud Drive, I can go to documents, depending on what kind of computer you're on, they'll be saved in different places. But I'm just going to use this JPEG here that I created from slides. And what you'll see is that this image goes here. Now when we grab the corner, what you'll notice is that when I drag this and move this, it keeps the ratio the same. When I grab the sides or the bottom, what it will do is it'll mess up that ratio. And so you'll see that you can't see all of the image that I had originally. So if we go back and you'll see that I can drag, I want to see, we're about there. Okay, I have those options. So the other options that you'll see when I have a picture here is I have a cropping tool. When you hover over it, it tells you what you're going to do. So when I want to crop an image, it's going to allow me to zoom in or zoom out. Maybe I don't want the whole image and I just want a portion, right? Maybe it's my class pet and I really want to zoom in on my lizard's eyes or whatever. I don't know. I'm just thinking of an example that I would have. So you can do that. You also have the uncrop tool, which basically just takes it back to its natural size that when you brought it in, or its original size. When you click on link, you can also link images to other places. So if you have another page that you want this to go to, maybe you're doing a breakout room on your Google site and you have different pages that you've created that kids need to break out and they finally click on the picture. Maybe you have a Bitmoji thing that you've put together, and as they're clicking on all those things, you want to have them take different places. So you have a lot of different options there. When you are done, right, you would just hit the check mark. So the other thing is you can delete the tile or the image. When we click on these three dots, we have a couple of different options. We can replace the image with an upload or select an image. We can add alt text. So the alt text, what that does is that gives us the ability to rename the image something else if it's being searched. And I would just put this as a decorative image. We'll put apply. I can also then add a caption. This is a caption, right? And that will show there. So the other way that we can pull in images, and I am going to actually delete this image and we'll bring this section back in here again. Delete this section. Is we can click on images over here. So when we already did upload, but when we select an image, we have a lot of different options. So we can upload an image by a URL. Obviously, we want to make sure that we're not breaking copyrights or anything like that. And so let's just say I found cool images of Utah, right? I like this one. If I left click on this and I see the copy image address, I just click there, come back over here, paste that URL. You see that the image is right there. I can insert that image right in that box. And you'll see that I can drag and drop. And all of my proportions are pretty good. We're going to go back there. So there's that. We're going to trash that. We're going to come back over here to images again, show you some of the other options. When we click on select, you can do a Google image search, right? Cool Utah pictures. and you'll see that we have some here. My assumption is that it's a Google search, is that we're going to have some copyright free images, maybe not, based on some of these images. Let's pull that one. We want to insert that one. You'll see once again that image goes there. We're going to trash can that one. We'll go back one more time. Click on images, click on select. We can do photos. So any photos that we have here, right? So I just finished a slideshow for our school. It's the end of the year, so I have a bunch of photos from students and field trips and all these different things that the kids did, putting them in a slideshow. I can also pull from Google Drive, and you'll see that I have all these files that I could pull from. If I went to our social media folder for this year, I don't know where it's at, but if I went to the social media folder, I could pull some files there. Again, I could also do that in a slideshow if I wanted to as well. So this has been a quick tutorial using Google Sites, how to edit images 2.4. Again, most likely you're an educator. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm glad you're here. I appreciate what you do for kids. Hi everybody, welcome back. My name is Mr. Campbell from MrCampbellRocks.com with another tutorial on using Google Sites. This is 2.5, adding a banner. This is an amazing tool that Google released last year. It allows you to add this right here, this little banner. So let's jump into it. This will be a quick tutorial, should probably take you less than 2 minutes. Just a reminder, again, this Google site is not yet published. It will be published and you can see what it looks like live. But to add a banner, what we're going to do is we're going to go up here to the settings. We'll go right down here to announcement banner, and you'll see that I already have these settings put together. But we can unshow the banner. We can change the background color of a banner. So we probably want to have a little bit bright. We could have the message go through here. And what this does is this basically looks just like this. Up here it's red. I just changed the color. Let's try yellow. We can add a button label if we want, and we can add a link so that button goes to a separate or an outside link. So let's say we were doing picture day on Friday and I wanted to link to the picture ordering form on, you know, whatever your school uses for their picture form. I could just click buy pictures here. We'll use espn.com again. We're going to open this in a new tab so that doesn't take them away from our site, so they're still there. Visibility, we have the option to have it be the home page only or all pages. Well, I'm going to have it on all pages because I don't know, sometimes parents and students, they come into my Google site not from the home page. They come from another link or they have it saved in their, you know, Omnibox bar. And so once we're done with this, we'll just click enter. I want to make sure I have it visible. Oh, there we go, show banner. And you'll see that the color changed. We have this. When I click on buy pictures here, it will take me to, well, it's going to reroute me to espn.com, and we are on espn.com. So if I go back to my Google Sites, again, here, down to announcement banner, and I can turn that off. Once I hit enter and click out, that banner is gone. This has been a quick tutorial on how to add a banner in the G Suite Learning Center for Google Sites 2.5. Up next, we're going to be adding a logo to our Google site. I love you, I appreciate you, and I'm glad that you're here. Welcome back, everybody. My name is Mr. Campbell from MrCampbellRocks.com. Today we're going to be covering 2.6 from the G Suite Learning Center for Google Sites. That's how to add a logo to your Google site. Super easy. Let's jump into it. First of all, you're going to want to find your logo. So I just searched for free cool logos. It could be an image of yourself. It could be maybe your school logo. It could be maybe something that you create. So I had a Thundercats one. I like this one too. So we'll, or there's this one right here. Let's go down back to Thundercats. But you want to find your logo first. That logo could be from the web, right? Hopefully it's not copyrighted and it's free. It could be in Google Drive. It could be on your desktop. It could be in your photos. So the way that we're going to add that logo is, you'll see, you can kind of already see up here where I'm hovering over my header section, right? The theme at the beginning of my website or my Google site. We're going to click on add logo, and we'll have some options. We can upload a logo from our desktop. Again, we could use this if we wanted. I'll just show you what that looks like. Click on open. It's best if these images or logos are at least 112 pixels in height for them to fit, and you'll see that I have it right up there. The great thing about Google Sites is it automatically pulls the colors straight from my image, and it says, hey, do you want to use this color for your theme? So then I can grab those colors and match my theme. And if you'll see these three colors, you'll notice those are the Google colors. That's how kind of I do those. So let's just do this green, make that a little bit dark. We're done, and there we go. So if we want to edit the logo, again, I'm going to trash can that. If we want to upload, we have, again, you can grab it from your computer. If we click on select, we have a bunch more options. We can grab it by a URL. We can do a Google image search within Google. We can grab it from our photos. You'll be familiar with this from we were working earlier. I can take it from my Google Drive. I'm going to grab it from a URL. So we're going to come over here to these logos here. We've got this Thundercats. I'm going to left click, copy image address. When we go back over here, we're going to paste that here. You'll see that's the image that we're going to have. If I wanted to get more detailed and I was into Photoshop, I could actually edit and make mine a PNG or a transparent background, so then it would look like the logos floating. That's a little bit more intense. We won't do that in this tutorial, but we're going to insert that image. You'll see right here that I have the new Thundercats logo here, and what I have is my options to grab a color that matches that. We're going to go with the darker one, and that is how we add a logo to our Google site. Again, hopefully this saved you time, energy, and frustration. My name is Mr. Campbell. I love you, I appreciate you, and I'm glad that you're here. The next tutorial will be how to add content from another site. Hi everybody, welcome back. My name is Mr. Campbell from MrCampbellRocks.com. Today this is 2.7, adding content from another website using the G Suite Learning Center for Google Sites. So this is a pretty amazing thing that Google has done. Is basically what they allow you to do is to embed another site or the content from another site onto your Google site for education. So it's not just sites, it's also web apps using the Google Apps Script or App Maker, and then Google Data Studios. So for example, let's say we're using News ELA or Newsella, depending on what you call it. We want to embed that article, we could do that. So the way that we do that is, again, we have a section here, and we want to add some information to that section. Well, we can come over here, we can click on Embed. When we go to Embed, what I've done is I've actually gone over to the Atlantic, right? This is an article that came out last week about the misfortunes of graduating in 2020 and the economy and what's going to happen. And there's a lot of information in here that's helpful for students that are just graduating. But so I grab this link or this URL here, I can copy that. And when I come to here, I would just enter that URL. And what Google does is they're basically taking the HTML text and they're allowing me to pull the article into my Google site, as you can see on the right. Or what I can do is, or what they do for me, right, is they can pull the whole page in for that. And what that looks like is this. So when I click on whole page, I click insert, you'll notice that they have pulled everything from the source code over here. So you'll see I have all this stuff at the top, all these different pieces of information, the advertising, the Facebook, Twitter, link share, email, all of these other things. When I come back to my Google site and I have it here, all of that information will be there when I push it live. So I can actually drag and drop this wherever I want. So we're going to trash can this, and I'll show you what the other part looks like again. So we're going to click on embed. We're going to paste that URL here. We're going to insert there, and then we'll have this text there live so the students can look at that information. So it's a great way to grab information, images, Google Apps again. If you're familiar with those, that's a whole other tutorial and a whole nother time, but that's the App Script, the App Maker, Google Data. You can pull stuff straight from websites. Instead of pulling a screenshot, it would pull this information right from there. So that is the button that takes you to the link for the Atlantic. That'll take you to the live version of that. This has been a quick tutorial on how to add content from another site, 2.7. Again, I love you, I appreciate you, and I'm glad that you're here. Welcome back, everybody. My name is Mr. Campbell from MrCampbellRocks.com. This is 2.8 and the last tutorial in the Unit 2 module for G Suite Learning Center in Google Sites. So the great thing, and this is beautiful, those of you that have worked with website outside of Google Sites, whether you've used WordPress or Joomla or Squarespace or anything like that, is a lot of times the formatting and moving things around isn't quite what you think it's going to be. So the great thing about Google Sites is you can move and resize any piece of content on your site. And the way that you do that is you'll move content through what we call tiles. And so I'm going to show you a couple different things that you can do, how you can anchor images to text or unanchor images from text, how you can drag and drop them vertically and connect all of them. So the first thing is let's look at the tile. So when I have a box, the blue is where the edges are. When we're moving a text box, we're going to have a option to move it vertically, and it expands, or horizontally, excuse me, it expands vertically as we type more text. So what you'll notice is as I dragged this text box from left to right, is we have these gray lines behind. Those are the tiles. And so what happens with text boxes and image boxes is those tiles lock into place, so we have a structure for our site. It's not just willy-nilly. So again, these two are anchored. You can see that blue line. As we move this, even if we went further, you'll see that my image box gets a little bit smaller, but as I move it back, the image is still floating out here. So an image box has the blue dots all the way around. This is telling me that I can move it in multiple ways. I can move it diagonally, which will keep our image ratio the same. I can move it horizontally, or I can move it vertically, however I want. Now the great thing about this option is that we can lock these into place. And so as we grab a new section and pull it over here, you'll see that these are locked into place. Well, we can do this on our own. We don't necessarily have to pull these layouts over. We can make these on our own. So what we'll do is we can just hover over our image and we'll drag it over, and you'll see that big thick blue line. What that's telling me, right, as the creator of the Google site, is this text box and this image box will now be locked together. So when I drop it there, you'll see this whole thing, excuse me, this whole thing moves now when I grab the image because we've locked the text with the image. Now if I hit Command Z or Control Z, it's going to undo a couple things. It unlocks that option. We can also click on the undo last action right here. I can also go the other way. I can grab text. Again, here's our 10 little dots. If I zoom in, you can see there's the 10 little dots. And I have my compass. I can grab the text and I can link that to an image. So you'll see that those two are locked because now the blue box goes around the whole thing. So if I want to move it over here, I can move it over here. And you'll see this is set up just like this. So again, I can click on undo or Command or Control Z on my computer, which is to undo. So the great thing about this is you have so many options in Google Sites to create what this looks like. And that's why when you see multiple Google Sites, right, this will be put in some Facebook pages, is people are sharing all of their Google Sites. There's hundreds of different layouts and possibilities and what these can look like. So that's why a lot of people love the Google Sites, is because they're super easy to navigate and use. You don't have to know any code or anything like that. And I know Squarespace and some of those other builders are trying to do that, but as far as being a teacher, you don't want to spend all of your time, maybe you do, right? But I mean, for the most part, if you're here learning how to do this, is you want to be able to create the site that functions the way you want, that gets parents and students the information that they need without having to learn all the code and all the organization, all that stuff on the back end. Most likely you'd rather spend your time building content for your classroom and curriculum and, you know, assignments and quizzes and projects and activities and all those kinds of things. That's most likely why you're a teacher, is because you're good at those things. And you could be both, right? You could be somebody that knows code and HTML and wants to create your own site, and that's phenomenal. But if you're here, most likely it's because you want to get in, build your site, and get the content there. This is the, again, last tutorial in the module 2, which has been basically editing and creating your site. Module 3 as we go on to the next module. It'll be pretty fun. We get into more details and we share and collaborate on sites and how we can add more people, including parents and students and other teachers to our Google Sites. Again, if you're here, it's most likely because you're an educator. I love you, I appreciate you, and I'm glad that you're here. Hi everybody, welcome back. My name is Mr. Campbell from MrCampbellRocks.com. Today we're going to begin section 3. There's only one video tutorial in section 3. It's 3.1 called Share and Collaborate Sites. So today we're going to talk about how to add people to make them editors of the site, how to change their abilities or their access on the site, and then how to remove people from sharing. And let's just talk a little bit about why we might want to share. Maybe we have a co-teacher. Maybe we work with a special ed teacher and they're in our room at the same time. Maybe it's a grade level department. If you're in middle school, or maybe it's a grade level team and you're all using the same site to post lesson plans and videos and slides and different things like that as a resource so that the teachers can come and grab that and then share it with their Google Classroom or email it to parents. There's a lot of different reasons why you would want to have other collaborators on the site. So let's jump in. There are two ways to share a Google site with someone. The first way is in your Google Drive. You would just left click here and then you would click on share, and that's how you would, when you click on share, it's going to ask who you want to share it with. Then you would click that person's name and give them the ability to share. I'm going to do it in the other way, but this is where we would add an email address of a colleague or something like that. So the second way to do that is to go to your Google site. Here's the Google site that we've created. We've been working on together. You can see some of these things if you've been following along the whole way. Right up here where we see the little plus and it says share with others, you click on the plus sign there. And I'm going to add my principal. And what I'll be able to do is over here on the right, I can change his access or her access depending on who I'm sharing it with and what abilities they have to use this site. So when I click this little arrow here, they're going to have a published viewer or an editor. Now a viewer just means that somebody can view the site. They can't edit the pages, they can't add content. And so what I would want, obviously if we're working on the site together, is to make him an editor, not a published viewer. So once I click on send, this is going to send them an email. So we'll do that. And now he's been added. You'll see this little box up here, right? Person added. So now that person has permissions. Now, if I want to change those permissions after the fact, what I can do is I can go up here to click on the share here, and you'll see now that my principal here has these different options, and then I can actually make them the owner. Maybe I'm leaving the 3rd grade or the 6th grade and I'm moving down or up to a different grade and I still want the team to be able to have those rights. I can make them the owner. I can remove him, or I can give them access as a published viewer. So if I click on remove, you'll see that I need to save that. And then he does not have access to the site anymore. Now, what you can do is if you want to restrict people's ability to publish information, again, I just showed you, but you can click here, add somebody, and I can give them a published viewer. So anytime that they want to publish stuff, they can't do that. So when I would do that, I would just click share, save changes. So he basically has view only rights to the site and different things like that. All right. The easiest way to find out, again, who has ownership or who has abilities on the site is to go here. You'll see that. If we go back over to Drive, we left click here, click on share. You'll see this new dialog box. There's a video that's going to pop up here, a link to a video that shows you about this new dialog box that Google came out with a couple weeks ago. Again, this has been 3.1 Share and Collaborate Sites. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to move on to the tutorials next. We'll be previewing and publishing your site. There's a few videos in there. Again, I love you, I appreciate you, and I'm glad. Hi everybody, welcome back. My name is Mr. Campbell from MrCampbellRocks.com. We are on the home stretch. We are in Unit 4, Module 4 in the G Suite Learning Center for Google Sites. We're going to talk about how to preview and publish your site. And these videos will be pretty quick because they're kind of small, but I also wanted to break them apart so they are consistent with the other videos in this tutorial series. So 4.1, previewing your site. Once you're logged in and you're at your site, you're going to go right up here and you're going to see a little icon that has a computer and a phone. And this is where you'll preview your site. And what Google has done, it's pretty awesome, so I'll click on it so you can see, is they basically take you to a preview of what your site would look like live once it's published. So you can see I have my different pages here. I have the title here. You remember we had our Thundercats logo. We have the main title here. We have some comments here. We have some boxes that I haven't necessarily filled out yet. I haven't finished our footer. But you'll notice this black box right here. It's pretty awesome. It will show us what our Google site looks like on different screens. At the very, very beginning, all the way at the beginning, we talked about the Google sites are responsive. What that means is that they adjust depending on what kind of screen they're on. And now that we have smart TVs and different things like that, I don't think a lot of people are looking at Google sites on TVs, but they have access to do that. So when we click down here at the bottom, we click on large screen. This would be a laptop or a desktop. When we click on a tablet, that's going to be maybe an iPad or a Chromebook or a Surface Pro, depending on how the settings are on the Surface Pro. We have that. Then we have what it will look like on a mobile device. And you'll notice that there's some things happen as we go from mobile to tablet to desktop. So you have the menu here across the top. You can see here on a desktop. When we go to tablet, it shrinks this down, so we only have two options here, and then we have a more button. When we go to the phone view, you'll notice that the entire menu gets basically sucked into those three little dots. This is not something you're unfamiliar with. This happens on most websites, as they have some sort of responsive version of their site to make sure that people can view everything, especially now that a lot of your students and parents are going to be looking at things on the phone. This is the way that it looks on a phone. Now, if we want to report a problem, we can here. We're going to click X out. We're done with our preview. That was how to preview your site. Again, if you're here, it's most likely because you're an educator. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm glad you're here. Next tutorial will be about how to publish your site for the first time. Hi guys, welcome back. This is Mr. Campbell from MrCampbellRocks.com. So this is the moment that we've been working for the past couple hours or days or weeks or however long you've been doing this. I think a lot of you that are watching this have probably spent a lot more time polishing everything and adding all your links and all of that stuff. Let's do this. We're going to publish the site. So the first thing that we need to do is click publish. Sorry, it's a big moment for you, right? Especially if this is your first one, you've gone through all these things together. So I'm excited for you, and I would love to have you share back how you do in the comments below. But let's publish. So we're gonna have some options here. So what you'll have is a site domain that's connected with your domain. So mine is jordandistrict.org. That's the district I work in. So the site will be all of this right here, / whatever you name your site. So I want to say this is probably taken. Maybe not. Oh, it's not. Fantastic. I thought I named that the last site I created. But anyway, so you'll see a little blue check mark here. That means that you're ready to go. There's some words and language that you can't use. Obviously, you can't use swear words, or you can't use like admin or support or human resources or something like that. This is who I can invite to manage my site, and I can change that. So let's go back here again. So I want to go back. Who can view my site? Anyone at jordandistrict.org. Well, that's not really helpful if I want to share this with students and parents. And so the students are going to be covered, right, if they have a jordandistrict.org, but our students have a different domain. And so we need to change this to see who can view this. So I'm going to click on Manage. And what we want to do is, you'll see where it says Links. And that's there. I want to make it public so everybody can see it. So when I click on public, you'll see now it turns green. Anyone on the internet can find and open the site. Now, I also have options for specific links, and we'll talk about that later. We've actually talked about that before. So we're going to click Got It. Then we're going to click Done. Now, right, you have the option here. Do we want search engines to view the site and go through the information? You can request they do not display your site, or you can request that they do. Now, Google is king at this, right, of searching the internet and finding information. For me, this is a resource page. I want teachers from all over the world to come and look at other Google sites that people created, and that's something I'm going to share. I want people to go through the tutorials. I want people to watch the videos. I want people to give me feedback. So I want people to be able to find this site. So I am actually going to leave this open. If you wanted to find out more here, it will take you to another link, and it talks about what this looks like for Google Sites. So we're going to go back here, and the moment of truth, you've probably already done this, but go ahead and click Publish. Now what you'll have is you'll have a live link up here. Before, right, I can view the published site, and here's our site. You'll see there is the site, sites.google.com/jordandistrict.org, Mr. Campbell Rocks /home. Obviously, when I click on create a site, you'll see that the / will change, and I'll have a new page, and we can go back and edit the pages, and we can do any of that. Now, if you have questions, you should have one. We can change the URL. Let's talk about that in the next video. Welcome back. My name is Mr. Campbell from MrCampbellRocks.com. Today I'm going to show you how to change the URL of your Google site. Very simple, very quick. It should take you less than 30 seconds. Let's say you don't like the link or the URL of your site, or you spelled it wrong after you published it, which has happened to me before, right? So what you'll do is you'll come up here to Publish. You'll click on the little arrow. You'll click on Publish Settings. You'll enter in a new URL here. Now I'm not going to do that because I didn't have the one that I want, Mr. Campbell Rocks. Then you would click on Save. That is how you change your URL on a Google site. Again, I love you, I appreciate you, and I am glad that you're here. Hi everybody, welcome back. Today, I'm going to show you how to unpublish your site. Let's say that you are a teacher and you become administrator, you get a job in the district office, or heaven forbid, you stop being an educator altogether, but let's show you how to do that. When you come over here to publish, you click on the drop-down arrow, you'll see right there, it just clicks unpublish. It's going to ask you, are you sure you want to do this? It doesn't remove all of your information. It doesn't change any of your edits. You can still do all that. What it does is it just makes it so your site is not visible to people when they go to that link or that URL, or they click on anything that's connected with your site. So maybe you're revamping it over the summer and you don't want to see people doing this. You don't want people seeing all the changes that you make on your Google site. You could unpublish it for a few months in the summer and then republish it back out. Everything is done. Obviously it's a double, and so you would click Got It, and then it would unpublish your site. That's a quick tutorial on how to unpublish your Google site. I love you, I appreciate you. I'm glad you're here. In the next tutorial, the last tutorial of this series will be how to search in your Google. Hi everybody, Mr. Campbell back with our last tutorial. This is 4.5, how to search a site. Let's go over a few things before we get here. So in order to search the site, you've got to be actually in the live site. So the easiest way to do that is to click here and view published site. So this is as if this is what the site looks like as if you're anybody just coming to the site. You can click here and you can search for this site. You can search for terms. You'll see I search for video, it goes to the home page, and I just went right back to the home page. So this is when you search for the magnifying glass here. Anybody can actually search the site once you have all of your content up here. A couple other things before we close out. When we click on this More option, you have a few options to go to version history. Maybe you liked the way something was last week, just like a Google Doc or slides or different things like that. If you're familiar with Google, you can go back to a version history of your Google site. Google saves every version that you've worked on your site. You can also duplicate a site. So the great thing about this is, let's say you find somebody else in your school that has a site that you really, really like, you just want to change the content. You could actually duplicate their site, rename it to a new URL, and have all of the information and all of the themes and colors and boxes and images and all that stuff set up perfectly for you.
Maybe you teach two subjects. You have a English 9 and an English 10 class, or an English 11 and an AP English. You could duplicate the site and then just change the content on the AP site as compared to the English 11 site. You could do that with math. You could do all sorts of things. So the other thing that you can do is you can get analytics. That's a little bit more deeper into it. So you can create a Google Analytics code, and Google will track how many people are coming to your Google site, where they're coming from, how long they're staying on your site, what information they're looking at. And I won't go into details how to do that in this tutorial, but you would click on the settings, you would click on analytics, and you would type in a tracking code right here, and it would just track all of the people coming to your site, so you have a good idea of what people are going there to find, which helps you build a better Google site. It helps you put things where people need them the most. So if parents and families are coming to your site and they're looking for one particular thing, maybe it's a Campbell schedule or a classroom schedule, and you have that kind of buried on the third page of your site, you could actually move that to the home page so that it's easier for your students and your parents, basically your audience, to view that information. So we'll share another video with that later. Thank you for coming along this journey with me. This has been, like almost 24 tutorials and a lot of time at home late at night when my kids are asleep. And ultimately, I just want to thank you for what you do for kids. If you're here, it's because most likely you're an educator and you work with kids on a daily basis. I've got 6 kids in public education, and their lives are forever changed because of the teachers that encourage them and challenge them and push them to do more on a daily basis. And I just want to say thank you. I hope this is helpful for you. I hope you share this with everybody. Again, I love you, I appreciate you, and I'm glad that you're here.